Welcome to Salcedo Paranormal. It is now Thursday, January 12th, 2023. And tonight I'm reviewing some more of H.P. Lovecraft, The Complete Fiction. As always, you can find all the episodes of the show, along with links to social media and other ways to contact me at the podcast page. And that is salcedoparanormal.podbean.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.podbean.com. Always happy to hear from you all, whether you have questions or comments or topic suggestions, or if you have stories of paranormal experiences, whether they're your own or from others that you trust. Happy to either read those or have you join me on the show to talk about them. I do mean that I have a friend that will be joining me, not for a stream, but to do just a basic podcast kind of thing version recording, and I'll be sharing that this weekend at some point. So looking forward to that. And of course, thank you all for listening, whether you're here for the live streams. I see you all there. Thank you. Or you listen to the podcast or YouTube feeds. Again, I'm amazed at the numbers that we've gathered on those feeds. Thanks to you all, and really appreciate that. So yeah, I think that's it. This is the last stream for the week until Sunday morning, and but again, I have 2 bonus shows that I will be recording in the next couple of days, and I'll put those out as soon as I can. So really excited about that. And again, that's also thanks to you all that listen and that are part of the community, because both of those shows will involve friends of the show. So, but yeah, I'm reviewing 3 stories tonight. 2 are shorter ones. The third has some chapters to it. And, which of course this is just a summary of these stories, so. And I think maybe another 3 episodes is what I have left to finish this Lovecraft, The Complete Fiction. I think around there. And then I'll probably do a 1 episode just to talk about his writing in general. Just some of the patterns that I've seen in it. And then, of course, the ties to the paranormal world as well. And then I'm going to start getting into mythology. Just finding stories and trying to summarize them as well as I can. And again, talking about their paranormal aspects that could possibly still be around today, or be how they could be connected to things that happened today. So that should be a lot of fun. Looking forward to that. That'll be the next big series. So that should be a lot of fun. And of course, that's for the Wednesday shows, when I'm not doing comic book review shows with Derek or other topic-based shows. So actually, that would be Thursday morning. That's what it is now. It used to be Wednesday night. And I guess it still is Wednesday night, for depending on where you're at, time zones and all that confusing stuff. But anyway, so I'll get to these stories here. And again, I'm just reviewing these stories, just giving brief summaries, so definitely check out the all of Lovecraft's things. I'm told you can find a lot of his stories as audio on YouTube, but I also found this audiobook with all of his writings in it, basically, on a website for $5, like $5, and it's all organized. I mean, it has a table of contents. You can just move around in it however you want to. So that is also nice if you really do want to listen to all of his stories. I'm guessing there's an ebook version too. If you want to look at all of his stories all in one place, I think that would be a great place to do that. So I don't know what the price for the ebook is, but the audiobook was definitely worth it. It was $5 for almost 2 days worth, like 47 hours worth of listening. And as you can see, I'm still working through all these stories. So this has spawned many shows, which is really amazing. And so this first story here is, the title is The Quest of Arenon. and this is a short story. It starts. It's about this young man who uh, wanders into a city named Teloth, and he basically is a storyteller. Talks about this great city of Ira. I think it's Ira, something like that. Where he was a prince there. And he's really into telling these stories and singing songs about this place as well. But no one in this town that he wanders into is really interested, except for um, one one boy. Let's see here. Um, so let's see here. Yeah. So and at one point, the people in the city tell him either get to work um, with them, basically on all the things that they're doing, just basically mundane work, or leave the city by sunset. So, but there's this one boy um, that finds I forget. Let me see here. Um, I think it's Iranon. Yeah. This young boy that finds Iranon. The boy's name is Ramnad. Yeah, there we go. Um, finds Iranon and talks to them and tries to convince Iranon to leave to go to this other city that might be Era, although under a different name now. And so the two travel there to this other city. And it takes them many years to get to this other city. And of course, that because of this, the boy Ramnad grows up while Arenon stays the same. Eventually, they do reach this other city, but of course, Arenon realizes, although he's not surprised, that this is not the city he was looking for. But the people there do love him as compared to the last city, and so they the people they start out appreciating him, but then over time their interest fades, and Ramnad has become old and also uninterested, and eventually he passes away. And Iranon just is still the same as he was when he got there, and continues on his journey. And eventually he comes across this old shepherd and asks him if he knows about the city of Era. And the shepherd tells him that yes, he has heard of it because there was a beggar's boy who had always talked about it. And it turns out this boy who thought he was a prince was laughed at by everyone and ran away. And so the turns out that Arenon is this boy. And once it's revealed to him that it was him all this time, he begins to age quickly and just wanders off and eventually passes away. So it's really an odd story, and I guess really about the imagination and just thoughts and what they can do and the powers they can have, and for good or ill. So really amazing story. Again, I'm just summarizing it, but there's that idea of, or that concept of, where do ideas come from and what can they do when they stay? How powerful are they? And in this case, in this story, it appears that they keep this person, this young man who was not a young man. They keep him young for all these years until eventually someone else's idea sort of cancels that out, or someone else's knowledge, really. So, amazing story with a kind of a horror story ending, even though I didn't expect it when it happened. Even though I should have. It's really good at that. It kind of fools you into thinking, or me anyway, it did, that maybe this would not have quite a horror story ending in a way. I thought maybe this was possibly Lovecraft's one attempt at like a story with a possible happy ending, or at least more of a neutral one. And of course, he found a way to still make it a horror story. So, amazing writing there from him for sure. So that's the first story I wanted to talk about tonight. So let's move on to the next one here. And this one, the title is The Rats in the Walls. And it is definitely a horror story from beginning to end. So, it mentions that the summary here. So the story starts out in 1923. There's an American named Delaporte, who's the last descendant of this family, moves back to his ancestral home, basically in it's called Exham Priory in England, after the passing of his only son in World War I. And so the people around the area, they notice that he's restoring the property, and they are not happy with this. But he continues on, and he moves in as this is all done. And I will say this story, and there's a couple other stories where Lovecraft uses some not so friendly language or terms, as he does once in a great while, regarding you'll see if you read the story, you'll see what I mean. But and I'll get into that in the episode I do just on Lovecraft himself, but and my thoughts on him. But he has several cats, and this one that stays with him, and at all times just about. So after Delaporte moves in, he starts to hear sounds of rats scurrying behind the walls, even though the place has been completely remodeled and renovated. And so he starts looking into this and trying to figure out where these are coming from. He also has a friend of his son that he got to know in the area, whose name is Edward Norris, and several other people in the area. They all try to figure out what's going on, and also at the same time, Delaporte learns has several dreams that that are about his family, and they had an underground city over the centuries. So this is basically the history of his family that he's learning about through his dreams, where they basically practiced some kind of a ritual where they had what they called human cattle. So basically just they just kept these people throughout the centuries in this underground city, and until the point where they became cannibals. And of course, this was stopped when one of Delaporte's ancestors killed the rest of the family in their sleep and left the country in order to end the whole thing. And so this relative left the area, and of course, these creatures that were once human ended up being devoured by rats that were in the cities, just in the depths of the city after this happened. So that's basically what was revealed through dreams. And of course, these dreams haunt the main character, this Delaporte, this most recent or last surviving member of the family. and because he's ashamed and angry at what happened and what his family once did, and so they through these dreams and through investigating the property, they find this entrance beneath a stone altar that basically could be flipped up, and they find an entrance to the city. And because of all the dreams and the sounds of the rats and everything, this Delapor goes insane and attacks Norris. And so after this, of course, the authorities find everyone and separate, and basically they send Delapor to an insane asylum. So, and the locals in the area and the investigators decide to destroy the priory so that nothing can ever happen there again. And local investigators and authorities decide to cover up all evidence of this whole event in this underground city. And of course, Delapor, in the end, says that it was the rats in the walls that attacked his friend. And so the story ends with him in his cell. So it's definitely a horror story there, but very well done, and obviously better than I can describe here. So definitely check that out. So that's the second story here. And this last one is the longer one. This is the one that has chapters. And this is called The Shunned House. And that's SHUNNED, The Shunned House. And, excuse me, this is, let's see here. So this is about this narrator, who I don't know if that gives his name, I don't remember now, and his uncle have been fascinated with this old abandoned house in a city. Doesn't really say where. But his uncle, who's a doctor, last name is Whipple, WHIPPLE, has gone through extensive research looking into the history of the place, and including the sickness and death of many of the people that have moved into and lived in the house over the course of 100 years. There's also these strange weeds that grow in the yard that seem to have give off the strange odor. There's also this these strange fungi growing in the cellar that appears to glow in the dark. Excuse me. And the narrator eventually finds this strange vapor in the basement that seems to be part of an outline of a human form that is basically just part of the floor of the ground there. The narrator and the uncle decide to spend the night in the house to investigate further. And because they believe now at this point, after all their research into it, that there is some kind of strange paranormal force that is causing all of this, the strange sickness and deaths, and then the other oddities that are growing in the yard and then the house and the basement there. So they basically set up chairs and a cot and in the basement to watch and see what happens in that basement at night. And of course they bring items that they hope to use to destroy whatever this is that has been doing this for all this time, including flamethrowers and a modified device that they believe will destroy anything any paranormal presence that they find there. So they take turns at night sleeping at 2 hours at a time, or at least that's the plan when they start. The narrator lets his uncle take the first rest, and notices that the uncle is not sleeping well, and starts tossing and turning until he suddenly wakes up. And the uncle tells his nephew, the narrator, that he had strange dreams of lying in an open pit inside of a house with constantly shifting features, while there were faces that stared down at him. And many of them, he said, were those of the family that lived there, that lived in the house originally. And so this is odd, but the narrator sort of writes it off as dreams until it's his turn to sleep. And really, the uncle doesn't even get through the entire 2 hours that he could sleep. He wakes up before that's done. And so the narrator takes his turn sleeping, but he wakes up to this scream. And he wakes up and he sees this it says yellowish corpse light, in quotation marks there, bubbling up from the floor, and appears to stare at him with many eyes before vanishing in a wisp through the chimney. And he finds that his uncle had been changed into some other kind of creature, and so the narrator turns on his uncle using that device. He turns it on, but it doesn't do anything to the uncle. And so he escapes as the uncle starts to dissolve into this other apparition of the multiple faces of the people that have passed in the house. And the narrator returns the next day to find the equipment all there, but no other signs of the what happened. So he uses he decides to go back there and try to solve everything that happened. He gets a gas mask, digging tools, and a ton of sulfuric acid that he has delivered to the cellar door of the house. And so he digs into the floor of the cellar, and he arranges the sulfur barrels of sulfur around this hole. And eventually he finds this, after digging through really just this gross mass of all different kinds of things, he finds this translucent tube that's bent in half and is let me see here. What was it here? I lost my spot. 2 feet in diameter. There we go. I knew there was a number there. But he finds all this, and he crawls out of this hole after this, and what he realizes is that he had found the elbow of this giant monster that was in the ground beneath this cellar. And so the narrator starts emptying barrels of this sulfuric acid into this hole, and of course he doesn't even get through all the barrels before he faints, probably because of the fumes coming from all the barrels as they interact with the ground there and whatever's down there. But so he realizes that they haven't really done anything. That all this acid hasn't really done anything, and except that it's the fungus that was there has turned to ash, and but he still thinks that he probably took care of whatever was causing all the problems in the house, even though there's may still be something down there, I believe is how it was explained. And but after that, he is pretty sure that the house is safe to be rented. I'm sorry. Um, and he does think that the creature is dead, even though he didn't see it actually die. And the narrator leaves the area, and of course is sad about the passing of his uncle. And he records the narrator says that the house has been rented since then, and everything seems to be okay. So, sort of a mixed ending there. It's good that no more families have been getting sick, but also the narrator lost his uncle in the process of trying to get rid of whatever was causing all this death in the house. So, really well done story, just in terms of suspense and everything, and makes you wonder, besides just natural creatures, what else could be living underground that doesn't even need the same things that we do in terms of air and water. And I mean, yes, water you can find underground too, but different things. It doesn't need the same things we do in the same ways to survive. So, but that's all I have for this episode here. It's always hard to figure out exactly how many stories to review for these shows, but so that's all I have for today. But thank you all for listening, and I'll be back on Sunday morning with true paranormal stories from the web on the next episode of Salcedo Paranormal. Thank you all. Take care.